Hello, my friend. Welcome back to our channel, English with Ethan. How are you today? I hope you are doing great, and today, we're talking about something small that quietly shapes how the whole world sees you and how you see yourself: punctuality. Being late feels harmless in the moment. Just 5 more minutes. Just one more thing to finish. But over time, this small habit quietly costs people trust, opportunities, and respect they never even realize they're losing. Before we begin, do one small thing for me. Press the like button. It takes only 1 second for you, but it means the whole world to us. Okay, are you ready? Let's begin. Lesson 1. Being late is never just about time. Most people think being late is simply a scheduling problem, a small inconvenience, easily forgiven, easily forgotten. But punctuality reveals something much deeper than time management. It reveals how much respect you have for other people's time and how seriously you take your own commitments. Think about what actually happens when someone arrives late. The other person, the one who arrived on time, is left waiting, checking their watch, wondering if something went wrong, quietly recalculating their own schedule to accommodate the delay. Even if nothing is said about it, something subtle shifts in that moment. A quiet message is sent, whether intended or not. My time was worth less than whatever kept you. This isn't about being harsh or unforgiving toward occasional lateness. Life happens, traffic happens, emergencies happen. But there's a clear difference between rare, unavoidable delay and a consistent pattern of lateness that becomes someone's reputation. When lateness becomes a habit, it stops being an accident and starts becoming a statement about your relationship with commitment itself. Consider how differently we view two people with the exact same skill level, the exact same talent, but very different relationships with time. One person consistently arrives late, to meetings, to appointments, to simple plans with friends. Over time, people stop fully trusting their word. Even when this person's intentions are good, their actions have quietly taught others not to rely on them completely. The other person, equally talented, consistently shows up on time, prepared, ready. Over time, this simple habit builds a reputation far more valuable than talent alone. The reputation of being someone others can depend on. This is the hidden cost of chronic lateness. It's rarely about the actual minutes lost. It's about the quiet erosion of trust that happens, meeting after meeting, appointment after appointment, until people begin expecting less from you, simply because you've unintentionally taught them to. Punctuality, on the other hand, communicates something powerful without a single word. It says, "I respect your time. I take my commitments seriously. You can count on me." This message, repeated consistently, becomes one of the most valuable reputations you can build in relationships, in work, and in life. Here are 3 simple truths about why punctuality matters more than we often realize. First, lateness is rarely just about time. It's about the message it sends regarding how much you value the other person's time and your own commitments. Second, occasional lateness is human, but consistent lateness becomes a pattern that quietly shapes how much others trust and rely on you. Third, punctuality builds trust silently, without needing explanation. Showing up on time, consistently, communicates reliability more powerfully than words ever could. Remember this, my friend. Every time you show up on time, you are quietly telling the people around you that their time and your word both matter to you. Let's do a quick recap. Being late is rarely just a scheduling issue. It's a quiet reflection of respect and reliability. Consistent punctuality builds trust silently, while consistent lateness slowly erodes it, even when unintended. Here is your challenge for today. Choose one commitment today, whether big or small, and arrive a few minutes early instead of right on time. Notice how this small choice changes your own sense of readiness and respect. Being on time isn't just about the clock, my friend. It's about the kind of person your consistency is quietly building you into. Lesson 2. The real reason we're late isn't time, it's priority. Most people blame lateness on external things. Traffic was bad, the meeting ran long, I lost track of time. And sometimes, these reasons are genuinely true and unavoidable. But if you look honestly at chronic lateness, a pattern that repeats again and again, a deeper truth usually reveals itself. We rarely run late for things we consider truly important. Think about this honestly. If you had an opportunity that could change your entire life, an important interview, a meeting with someone you deeply admire, would you casually arrive 15 minutes late? Most people wouldn't. They would prepare early, leave extra time for unexpected delays, and arrive with room to spare, because deep down, that appointment felt urgent and valuable enough to protect. This reveals something uncomfortable but important. Lateness is often less about lacking time and more about how we've unconsciously ranked the importance of what we're doing. When something feels truly important, we naturally protect it with extra time and preparation. When something feels less important, we allow it to be squeezed, delayed, or treated casually without even realizing we're doing it. This is why the same person can be perfectly punctual for one type of commitment and consistently late for another. It's rarely about their general relationship with time. It's about which commitments they've unconsciously decided deserve protection and which ones they've allowed to become flexible. The uncomfortable question worth asking yourself honestly is this: when you're consistently late to something, what is that lateness quietly revealing about how you've prioritized it? This isn't meant to create guilt. It's meant to create awareness. Because once you notice this pattern honestly, you gain the power to change it, not by trying harder to manage the clock, but by genuinely shifting how much value and respect you attach to the commitment itself. If you want to become more punctual, the real work often isn't better time management tricks. It's an honest conversation with yourself about what you're truly prioritizing and whether your actions are matching the respect you claim to have for your commitments and the people waiting on you. Here are 3 simple truths about the real root of chronic lateness. First, lateness often reflects priority, not just poor scheduling. We tend to protect the time of things we've decided truly matter to us. Second, noticing where you're consistently late without judgment reveals honest information about your unconscious priorities. Third, changing chronic lateness starts with changing how much value you attach to the commitment, not just adjusting your clock or your schedule. Remember this, my friend. We always seem to find time for what we've decided truly matters. If punctuality feels difficult in certain areas of your life, it's worth asking honestly whether the issue is really about time or about priority. Let's do a quick recap. Chronic lateness is often less about lacking time and more about unconscious priority, the things we protect versus the things we allow to slip. Real change begins with honestly examining what your patterns of lateness are revealing about your priorities. Here is your challenge for today. Notice one area where you're often late and ask yourself honestly, have I been treating this as less important than I claim it is? Let that honest answer guide a small change today. Time was never really the problem, my friend. Priority always was. Lesson 3. Preparation is where punctuality really begins. Most people believe punctuality is decided in the final moments before an appointment, rushing to leave, hurrying through traffic, walking quickly toward the destination. But the truth is, punctuality is rarely won or lost in those final rushed minutes. It's actually decided much earlier, quietly, in the preparation that happens long before it's time to leave at all. Think about what actually causes most lateness. It's rarely a single, dramatic event. It's usually a small chain of unprepared moments stacking on top of each other. Not knowing where your keys are. Not deciding what to wear until the last minute. Not checking the route until you're already supposed to be walking out the door. Individually, each of these moments seems small and harmless. But together, they quietly steal the minutes you needed to leave on time, until suddenly you're rushing, stressed, and late, wondering how it happened again. This is why punctual people rarely rely purely on willpower or good intentions in the moment. Instead, they build small habits of preparation, done consistently, that protect their time before it's even needed. They lay out what they need the night before. They check their schedule in advance, rather than discovering it last minute. They build in extra time for the unexpected, rather than planning as if everything will go perfectly. This isn't about becoming rigid or overly controlling. It's about recognizing a simple truth. The version of you rushing at the last minute is rarely thinking clearly or making good decisions. But the version of you preparing calmly, the night before or the morning of, with a little extra time built in, is in a much better position to protect your punctuality before pressure and rush take over completely. Consider two people preparing for the same important morning meeting. One person wakes up and only then begins figuring out what to wear, what to eat, what documents they need, all while the clock is already moving against them. Every small decision becomes a rushed decision, and rushed decisions often lead to mistakes, forgotten items, and lost time. The other person prepared the night before, clothes ready, materials organized, route already checked. Their morning feels calm, not because they have more time than the first person, but because they protected their morning through preparation the night before. This reveals an important truth about punctuality. It's not just a moment, it's a mindset that extends backward in time into the small, quiet decisions made well before the actual appointment arrives. Here are 3 simple truths about how preparation builds punctuality. First, lateness is rarely one big event. It's usually many small, unprepared moments stacking together until time runs out. Second, preparing the night before, even in small ways, protects your morning from unnecessary rushing and last-minute stress. Third, building an extra time for the unexpected isn't overcautious. It's simply respecting how unpredictable daily life often is. Remember this, my friend. Punctuality isn't only won in the final rushed minutes before leaving. It's quietly built, hours or even a full day earlier, through small, consistent moments of preparation. Let's do a quick recap. Most lateness comes from small, unprepared moments stacking together, not one dramatic event. Preparing in advance, even in small ways, protects your time and calm before pressure and rush take over. Here is your challenge for today. Prepare one thing tonight for tomorrow morning. Whether it's your clothes, your bag, or your schedule, that you would normally leave until the last minute. Being on time tomorrow starts tonight, my friend. Punctuality is built long before the clock starts running. Lesson 4. Respecting time means respecting people. There is a simple truth that punctual people understand deeply, even if they've never said it out loud. Time and people are connected. When you disrespect someone's time, even unintentionally, you are, in a quiet but very real way, disrespecting them. Think about how it feels to be the one waiting. You arrive on time, as agreed, and then the minutes begin passing. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. With every passing minute, a quiet feeling grows, even if you don't say anything out loud. You start wondering if you were forgotten. You start wondering if your time simply doesn't matter as much as whatever is keeping the other person away. Even if the lateness was completely unintentional, the feeling it creates is real, and it lingers long after the person finally arrives with an apology. This is why punctuality is so much more than simple time management. It's a quiet form of communication, one that speaks before any words are exchanged. Arriving on time says, without needing to say anything at all, "You matter to me. Our agreement matters to me. I value the time you've set aside for this." Arriving late, especially repeatedly, sends a very different message, whether intended or not. Something else was more important than showing up for you when I said I would. This becomes especially significant in relationships that matter deeply. Family, close friendships, important work relationships. Consistent lateness in these relationships often creates quiet resentment over time, even when the late person never intended harm. The people waiting begin adjusting their expectations downward, learning to build in extra time whenever they meet you, learning not to fully trust the time you've given them, even while still caring about you deeply as a person. On the other hand, consistent punctuality builds something incredibly valuable in relationships. Quiet, unspoken trust. When people know you'll show up when you said you would, they stop needing to prepare for your lateness. They stop needing to manage disappointment. They simply trust your word, and that trust becomes a foundation that strengthens the relationship itself, often more than people realize. This principle extends beyond personal relationships, too. In work, in business, in any environment where your word and your presence matter, punctuality quietly communicates professionalism and respect, long before your skills or talents are even evaluated. Many opportunities are lost, not because someone lacked ability, but because their pattern of lateness quietly signaled unreliability before they even had the chance to prove their capability. Here are 3 simple truths about how punctuality reflects respect for people. First, being late, even unintentionally, sends an unspoken message about how much someone's time was valued at that moment. Second, consistent lateness in relationships often creates quiet resentment over time, even when it's never directly addressed. Third, consistent punctuality builds deep, unspoken trust, communicating respect and reliability more powerfully than words alone ever could. Remember this, my friend. When you protect someone's time by showing up when you said you would, you are quietly telling them they matter to you. This message, repeated consistently, becomes one of the most powerful forms of respect you can offer another person. Let's do a quick recap. Time and respect are deeply connected, and consistent lateness, even unintentional, can quietly damage trust in relationships over time. Punctuality communicates respect and value without needing any words at all. Here is your challenge for today. Think of one person in your life who deserves more punctuality from you, and commit today to protecting their time the way you would want your own time protected. Showing up on time, my friend, is one of the simplest, most powerful ways to show someone they truly matter to you. Lesson 5. Punctuality is a form of self-discipline that spreads into everything else. There is something powerful hidden inside the simple habit of being on time, something that extends far beyond schedules and appointments. Punctuality is not just about managing a clock. It is a quiet training ground for something much bigger: self-discipline. And self-discipline, once built in one area of your life, has a way of spreading almost invisibly into every other area as well. Think about what it actually takes to be consistently punctual. It requires waking up when you don't feel like waking up. It requires stopping one task even when you want to finish it, because it's time to move toward your next commitment. It requires resisting the temptation to squeeze in just 5 more minutes of something comfortable in order to honor something you agreed to earlier. None of this is dramatic or glamorous, but each of these small moments is, in reality, a tiny act of self-discipline, repeated again and again, day after day. This is exactly why punctual people often display discipline in other areas of their lives too. Not because punctuality magically transforms their character, but because the same inner muscle used to protect their time is the same muscle used to protect their goals, their habits, and their commitments to themselves. Discipline doesn't stay neatly contained in one small area of life. It tends to strengthen the whole person, quietly influencing far more than just what time they arrive somewhere. Consider someone who consistently shows up on time, even when it's inconvenient, even when they don't feel like it, even when no one would immediately notice if they were a few minutes late. This person is practicing something valuable every single time, choosing commitment over comfort. And this exact same skill, choosing commitment over comfort, is precisely what's required to stick to a difficult goal, to maintain a new habit, to keep a promise made to yourself when motivation has completely disappeared. Punctuality, in this sense, becomes quiet daily practice for a much larger kind of discipline. On the other hand, consistently allowing yourself to be late, giving in to just a few more minutes again and again, quietly reinforces a different pattern altogether: the habit of prioritizing immediate comfort over prior commitment. And this pattern, too, doesn't stay contained. It often shows up in other areas of life as well. Difficulty sticking to routines, difficulty following through on personal goals, difficulty honoring promises made to yourself when no one else is watching to hold you accountable. This doesn't mean occasional lateness defines your entire character, or that punctuality alone guarantees discipline in every other area of your life. But there is a real, meaningful connection between how you treat small commitments, like arriving somewhere on time, and how you tend to treat larger commitments, like personal goals, habits, and promises to yourself. The way you do small things often reflects and reinforces the way you do everything else. This is actually good news, because it means punctuality can become more than just a habit you're trying to improve for its own sake. It can become a daily training ground for the exact kind of discipline you want to build in every other area of your life. Every time you choose to leave on time, rather than delaying just a little longer, you're practicing a small act of self-control that quietly strengthens your ability to choose discipline in bigger moments too. Think about how athletes train small, specific movements repeatedly, not because that single movement alone matters so much, but because the discipline and consistency built through that repeated practice strengthens their performance in much larger, more important moments. Punctuality works in a similar way. Each time you honor a small commitment to be on time, you are quietly training the same discipline muscle you'll need for much bigger commitments later in life. Here are 3 simple truths about how punctuality builds discipline beyond just time. First, the self-discipline required to be punctual is the same self-discipline required to maintain habits, achieve goals, and keep promises to yourself in every other area of life. Second, consistently choosing commitment over comfort, even in small moments like leaving on time, strengthens your ability to make that same choice in much larger, more difficult moments later. Third, how you treat small commitments often reflects and reinforces how you treat larger ones. Punctuality is small daily practice for a much bigger kind of personal discipline. Remember this, my friend. Every time you choose to be on time, even when it's inconvenient, even when no one would notice if you weren't, you are quietly building a discipline that extends far beyond the clock into every meaningful goal and commitment in your life. Let's do a quick recap. Punctuality is not just about managing time. It's quiet daily practice for the exact self-discipline required to achieve bigger goals and honor bigger promises. The way you treat small commitments often shapes how capable you become of honoring larger ones. Here is your challenge for today. The next time you feel the urge to delay just a few more minutes before an appointment, notice that urge and choose commitment over comfort instead, even in that small moment. Discipline is rarely built in big, dramatic moments, my friend. It's built quietly, minute by minute, choice by choice, exactly like the discipline it takes to simply be on time. Lesson 6. The person you become by honoring your own time. We have spent 5 lessons exploring punctuality from nearly every angle. We learned that being late is never truly just about time. It's about the quiet message it sends regarding respect and reliability. We learned that chronic lateness often reveals unconscious priority, not simply poor scheduling. We learned that punctuality is decided far earlier than the final rushed moments. In the quiet preparation that happens the night or the morning before, we learned that respecting someone's time is, at its core, a way of respecting them as a person. And we learned that punctuality trains a form of self-discipline that quietly strengthens every other area of life. Today, in our final lesson, I want to turn the focus inward, toward something we haven't fully explored yet. What punctuality does for your relationship with yourself. Most of what we've discussed so far has centered on how punctuality affects other people, how it builds trust, how it communicates respect, how it protects relationships. And all of that is deeply true and important. But there is another quieter dimension to punctuality that matters just as much, perhaps even more. And it has nothing to do with how others perceive you at all. It has to do with how you begin to see yourself. Think about what happens internally every single time you honor a commitment to be on time. You are, in that small moment, keeping a promise. Not a large dramatic promise announced to the world, but a small, quiet one, made either to another person or simply to yourself. And here is the powerful truth about promises. Every time you keep one, even a small one, you build a little more evidence inside your own mind that you are someone who follows through. Every time you break one, even a small one, you quietly chip away at that same internal trust, teaching yourself, without meaning to, that your word doesn't always hold weight, even to yourself. This internal relationship, the one between you and your own word, may be one of the most underestimated foundations of confidence that exists. Confidence is often described as believing in your own abilities. But real, lasting confidence is also built on something quieter. Believing that when you say you're going to do something, you actually will. And punctuality, small and seemingly unimportant as it may seem, is one of the most frequent, repeated opportunities you have to build exactly this kind of self-trust. Consider two people with similar goals and dreams. One person consistently breaks small promises to themselves, sleeping through the alarm they set with good intentions, arriving late to things they said they'd prioritize, allowing just a few more minutes to quietly override their own stated commitments. Over time, even if this person still believes in their dreams, a quiet doubt begins forming underneath. A small, nagging uncertainty about whether they can actually be trusted to follow through on what they say they'll do. This doubt doesn't announce itself loudly. It simply accumulates. Small, broken promise by small, broken promise, until it quietly shapes how much this person believes in their own follow-through, even on their biggest goals. The other person, by contrast, consistently honors even their smallest commitments, including the simple discipline of showing up on time. Over time, this person builds something powerful and often invisible to others, a deep, quiet confidence that comes from knowing through direct evidence that their word actually means something, even to themselves. This confidence isn't loud or boastful. It's steady, calm, and remarkably resilient, because it isn't built on hope or wishful thinking. It's built on a long pattern of proof, repeated small promises kept, again and again, until self-trust becomes simply a natural part of who they are. This is perhaps the deepest truth about punctuality that we haven't yet fully named. Yes, it builds trust with other people. Yes, it builds professional reputation and stronger relationships. But underneath all of that, punctuality quietly builds your relationship with yourself, teaching you, through consistent small proof, that you are someone whose word can be trusted. Starting with the person who hears that word the most often, you. This reframes punctuality into something far more meaningful than simply arriving places on time. It becomes daily practice in self-respect, daily evidence that you value your own commitments enough to protect them, even in small, unglamorous ways that no one else may ever notice or acknowledge. Let's talk about 3 final truths to carry with you from this series. First, every kept commitment, no matter how small, becomes evidence that shapes how much you trust your own word. Punctuality is one of the most frequent opportunities you have to build this internal trust. Second, confidence isn't only built through big achievements. It's quietly built through the accumulation of small promises kept, including the simple discipline of showing up when you said you would. Third, punctuality is ultimately a form of self-respect, a daily practice of valuing your own commitments enough to protect them, even when no one else is watching or measuring. Remember this, my friend. The relationship you have with your own word shapes far more of your life than most people realize. And that relationship isn't built through grand gestures. It's built through small, repeated moments, like choosing, again and again, to honor the time you agreed to. Let's do a quick recap of everything we've learned in this series. Being late is never truly just about time. It reflects respect and reliability. Chronic lateness often reveals what we've unconsciously prioritized. Punctuality begins in quiet preparation, long before the actual moment arrives. Respecting someone's time is a direct way of respecting them as a person. Punctuality trains a discipline that strengthens every other meaningful goal in your life. And finally, honoring your own commitments builds a deep, internal trust in yourself, one that quietly shapes your confidence far beyond the clock. Here is your final challenge, my friend. Today, choose one commitment, to yourself or to someone else, and honor it fully, on time, without delay. As you do, notice the quiet sense of self-respect that comes from simply keeping your word. Punctuality was never really about the clock, my friend. It was always about becoming someone whose word, to others and to yourself, truly means something, and that, quietly, consistently, is exactly who you are becoming. And that brings us to the end of today's journey, my friend. We learned that punctuality was never really about the clock. It's about respect, discipline, and the quiet trust you build with others and with yourself every time you keep your word. If these words gave you something to reflect on today, please share this video with someone who could use a gentle reminder about the power of showing up on time. And if you believe small habits deserve to build a stronger, more disciplined life, this channel is a must-follow for you. We don't just teach English here. We teach life-changing lessons that can transform the way you think, speak, and live. So please, subscribe today. Not just for us, but for the disciplined, dependable person you are quietly becoming. Thank you for spending this time with me. Keep honoring your word, my friend. Take care, and see you soon.